I'm Dr. John Bartemus, and I'm putting the pieces together to help you live a life at optimal. A question that I've received multiple times when asking people what's a burning question they want to have answered is please discuss causes of crippling anxiety and OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. So let's dive into that today. The first thing I would say is the causes can be multiple, and you can have multiple contributing causes at once, or layers of it. So I'm going to list potential causes, and just know that in a real human standing in front of me, they're unlikely to be like the textbook where we say one cause, one issue. You probably have multiple. But let's dive in. Let's talk about anxiety, and worst case scenarios will lead to OCD, and we can dive into that later. But anxiety can be caused or triggered by many, many things. One thing is thyroid dysfunction. If you have thyroid dysfunction because of hypothyroidism due to nutrient deficiencies, or due to neurochemical imbalances, or due to autoimmunity, that can lead to anxiety. Blood sugar issues can lead to anxiety. If you have functional reactive hypoglycemia and your blood sugar crashes quickly, that can lead to anxiety type symptoms because it triggers the stress or fight or flight system and increases catecholamine release, and increased epinephrine, norepinephrines can lead to anxiety. We could say that there are gut-brain causes of anxiety. So if you have an unhealthy gut, an inflamed gut leads to inflamed system, leads to neuroinflammation, and neuroinflammation can drive anxiety from multiple angles. One could be excitotoxicity, one could be functional neurologic deficits, and you have your threshold's low, so your neurons fire and lead to anxiety in you sooner than in the next person. If you have HPA axis maladaptation or adrenal issues for the lay people, that can lead to anxiety. Again, sympathetic nervous system activation can drive anxiety. Head trauma can lead to anxiety through a neuroinflammatory mechanism, a leaky brain mechanism, a mechanism of maybe debris fields and autoimmunity developing. One area where anxiety and OCD are both tied to in the brain is the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia direct pathway is the gas pedal in the brain. It allows you to move, and move quickly, think quickly, do whatever you do fast. The indirect pathway is what is the brake pedal and slows things down. So if you have a hyperactive direct pathway, then that can lead to ADHD, tics, anxiety, OCD. It depends on the person and their unique makeup. If you have a poorly functioning or inhibited indirect pathway, that can lead to an increased direct pathway and lead to anxiety and OCD. Nutrient deficiencies are another potential cause of anxiety. If you have iron deficiency can lead to anxiety due to poor oxygenation of the brain. Brain needs oxygen to function. So if it's poorly oxygenated, the threshold for firing is lower, and that can lead to anxiety. If you have iron deficiency, iron is a cofactor for the production of every neurotransmitter. So if you don't have iron, then you may not produce GABA well. GABA is the brake pedal in the brain, inhibiting the excitatory neurotransmitter glutamate. So if you lack GABA, you're more excitatory, could lead to anxiety. Magnesium loss. Magnesium can lead to anxiety via excitotoxic mechanisms, and magnesium is also needed to produce GABA. B6 deficiency can lead to anxiety. So there's lots of potential nutrients that you could be deficient in that can contribute to anxiety. Infections can contribute to anxiety via damaging brain tissue and creating debris fields, where in the right person that may lead to autoimmunity in the brain. You could have antibodies against dopamine receptors in the basal ganglia that lead to anxiety and or OCD. You could have antibodies to the cerebellum that leads to anxiety. You could have GAD65 antibodies that lead to anxiety. because again, GAD65 makes GABA. If you don't have GABA, you're excitatory and maybe excitotoxic. And then again, thyroid autoimmunity can contribute to anxiety. So there are lots of potential mechanisms that can drive anxiety and OCD. So the short answer is, again, we want to discover and address the cause, and that's done through working with a practitioner that's trained in functional medicine and functional neurology and knows how to look at you as a complete person and assess the system and put together the pieces of your puzzle.